Art time, art time. Okay. You ever have that energy where you don't have much energy, but you're still wanting to paint, but you're not trying to challenge yourself, not trying to push yourself outside your box to gain new skills. You're just really like, I don't want to slap around some paint, I want to just see how it is. There's always value in making something, even if it's not pushing you towards some ultimate epic composition or studies for something big. Sometimes you just kind of wanna ride the wave of whatever you're feeling. You'll notice that way what your tendencies are, what you're inclined to do. And these can both be, your gifts, and they can also be something that can hinder you. My tendencies, me riding that wave, results in a lot of rainbows and boobies. And the occasional spider, some tentacles, but we're talking about rainbows and boobies today. There's nothing wrong then with just a little bit of indulging in what you're feeling at the time. That's where we begin. Not really trying to push the boundaries of what I'm good at in any way, just kind of exercising, but I'll still learn something in the end. Feeling not only a little bit lazy, but also pretty impatient, so I didn't want to start on a new painting. I found one of my old canvases where I clearly drew voluptuous breasts on an angst-ridden half-woman, half-tree-ground creature. I slept on those blobby vortex globs with the end of the paint of another painting, just trying to use the end of the paint. I'm guilty of doing that at the end of a session. I'm too tired of painting. I don't want to waste my paint. If it's acrylic I used for an underpainting, it definitely won't last. So I slap it on this cheap canvas where I've drawn the angsty tree lady. I drew on her in Sharpie, accentuating the roots and a little bit of the shadow shapes, making her a little more interesting. This will be a good canvas to start on, just not have to worry too much. I can already have an underpainting layer. We'll see what happens. So what happens when I don't think about anything and just kind of squirting out tubes is I squirt out the entire rainbow. So I started in these glow vortexes, colored right out of the tube almost, making that progression pretty thoughtlessly to go into a little bit of a rainbow. I'm not quite sure if they're supposed to be solid, or if they're supposed to be in distant space, or they're supposed to be some sort of exploding thing in that moment. They're just something that's fun to do. I really enjoy looking at how other artists play with interesting light, even in the terms of video games and movies and from life, just actual glow. The green was a little bit harder to create the glow, and I've always had a little trouble making green glow. One of my issues when translating my drawings into paintings, I have a lot of the interest come from the line, and then in painting I care a lot about creating some sort of space or having the light be strange but still react in some ways how we expect light to. If you're standing backlit, you tend to be lit from the sides from some of the light that bends around, but you're pretty dark. Having an angsty tree lady standing there in the dark, I found as I started to backlight her and create more of just her silhouette, I realized that everything interesting about her had been from the lines that were drawn in her. She was not a very interesting shape backlit. I lost a lot of the energy of her. The roots have enough implied highlight that you see them, but I really wasn't feeling this lady. And that is when I remembered a dream from a few nights before.
So I was walking along with my best friend in the universe, Elephant Head. We were walking along together. I think I might have been able to fly too, but kind of that crappy flight in dreams where you gotta like move your feet around a lot and you're only going like 6 feet high. Or maybe we were traveling also a little bit by covered wagon. Oregon Trail style, traveling along. Either way, we're on this epic journey together, talking and conversing about the importance of life kind of stuff. As we traveled, we realized we were approaching beautiful, glistening, epic mountains. The landscape was just breathtaking. But as we got closer, we realized embedded into the sides of the mountain were these giant gestation sacs, incubating some completely full-grown, mountain-sized, terrifying dinosaurs pulsating in their sacks of goo. I'm a little wary of this, but Elephant Head, he walks over, disturbing a giant fluid sack filled with this epic dinosaur. It doesn't go well for him. He gets, ripped apart, and I'm all broken up about it, and I save his head. But then I realize that, oh my gosh, I know how to mind control these things. So I do that. I avenge Elephant Head's disembodiment. I release the mind control on this dinosaur, then I suddenly realize this beautiful, dangerous beast is actually self-aware and super intelligent. So, it kind of also has a little bit of a thing for me. It's a little bit not unmutual. So we decided, what the hell? Let's take a chance on love.
And I woke up before anything could get too serious. Because of the logistics of that, I don't know how that would have worked. But that dream was so visually stunning. The reenactment really captured that. But it was just one of those images that kind of stuck in my mind. So I then go back into my painting and am going to sacrifice the lady. She tried her best, a little angsty tree. And what is going to be born from her sacrifice, I won't call it exactly the love child of my dream dinosaur relationship, but I mean, I don't know. Either way, I started to create this because it was fun and epic in my mind. The beauty of those strange dinosaur sacks, I kind of actually want to do a really, really cool, giant, epic landscape painting. Maybe I'll do that. Playing around with more and more rainbow colors. It's not my fault that I was raised at the time of the perfect Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper, the most beautiful, amazing, sought-after scholastic organization product. And yes, it came at an impressionable time where its glowing neons might have defined the color palette of my heart forever. And that's just what I'm working with here. Creating glows, creating the different ways that I want to represent light in different settings. For playing with light and playing with glow, it always helps to be constantly looking at light around you. If you're trying to actually represent that in a way that's believable. I enjoy it, and I need to still get better. I tend to look at other people's art and see how they're representing something that's glowing, how fast they transition from the dark to the light, how different people represent different things. There's nothing wrong with leaning into your tendencies. Sometimes they're your greatest strength. They can also be a weakness when you rely too heavily on them. I have that tendency. I realize through repetition and through noticing what my tendencies are, there are many times that picking color in a very strategic manner can be more impactful than just throwing all of it on there, throwing a bunch of color. Having that tendency to just like blot it all on without really processing what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to do, that can be a weakness. I have to fight against that to gain the skills that I'm not necessarily inclined to have so that I can utilize them in creating space and creating different things that I value in my work, and even starting to learn how to understand things that I'm not inclined to do. Amazing art that has no color or very minimal, very subtle, beautiful neutrals. I love that. I have a subtlety of a giant rainbow hammer. When I look at a dark shadow and I'm trying to render something from life, I see the blue in it, and I'm like, blue, hot blue. And it can be an artistic license and it can be all right, but sometimes that is a detriment to me when actually trying to create space, because bright colors jump forward at you, and if I'm using them throughout the distance I'm trying to create, it can flatten that out. There's other reasons too. There's just backlighting when something is coming from behind and creates a silhouette, the darkness. I have to build up backwards because I'm like, bright, okay, close, slow it down. I do care about these things in my work. I care about space, and sometimes my love of bright rainbow color can hinder that. Because I wasn't actually looking at a dinosaur in a gestation sack, I probably didn't get the illusion of the shine of the texture that I wanted to. I didn't really warp him very much in the inside there. Those are things that might be really fun to get references for, to get really certain parts of this strange imaginary place having real illusion of how light might actually look through a shiny sack. I got some of it. I've had some highlights where it might reflect light. It always helps, if you do care to create the illusion of space or light, to look at references. It always helps me, at least. Sometimes it's not necessary. You don't really care about that, and sometimes just an implication of that is enough. Also, with something like this, it was just me kind of blah, not worrying too much about anything. It was fun, and it also gave me some ideas. Maybe I will try to challenge myself and create something that was as beautifully impactful as the actual dream was in my mind. Maybe I will. Maybe I just got a lot of my energy out, so I got to use my rainbow, and now I can go refine and think about color choices because I got that out of my system a little bit. So the point of all this, just go with whatever impulses that you feel in the moment to create. Not everything has to be some planned epic project. Those are amazing to have, but sometimes I don't have the energy, or sometimes I am feeling like just not worrying about anything and making something like that. And sometimes that will open up my eyes to certain tendencies they have, or I won't be worried about anything so that I transition into making something that might influence other work in a fun way. That's important. It helps you recognize what you're inclined to do, and you can then weigh those things to see if they're valuable for what you're trying to create or not. It's great to have a series of whatever you want to do. That will evolve over time, and you can kind of see what your tendencies grow to become. You can not worry too much, and then you learn from what you create. It's not that weird having a dream that's sexually charged about a giant dinosaur that's highly intelligent, smarter than most humans, very charming. At least he's not some kidnapping ox-wildebeest bear. And he didn't learn his lesson at all. He was turning away an old lady because she was ugly, and then, oh, you learned your lesson because you kidnap a hot girl and she likes you for some strange reason? That's not learning anything, buddy. Yes, I mind controlled the dinosaur, but I let him free before I realized we had feelings together. It's not the same. It was free to make its own choices at the point that we developed a relationship. Odd and a bit alarming. Yes, it is very alarming. He kidnapped you, and he's a wildebeest ox, bear, lion. It was a highly intelligent, beautiful dinosaur. It's not that weird. It's not that weird.